You are listening to the Women's Business Workshop podcast with your host, me, Robin Walker, a strategic planning and business coach for female entrepreneurs and business owners. Today, we're tackling a phenomenon called productive procrastination. Yep, that's a thing. The other day, I could not get focused. I had a project on my list for the day and really just didn't want to do it at all. I felt like a teenager or a toddler where I just didn't want to do it. No one could make me. Picture my arms crossed across my chest, pouty face, eye rolls, the whole works. Have you ever had those days where you really just don't feel like doing the work that you told yourself the night before or the day before that you were going to do today? I had to take the car into the shop early that morning, which we all know that's a great thing. When you set your own schedule and you work from home, you can have the flexibility to do these kind of things. However, by the time I was done dealing with that, it was already early lunchtime. So, of course, made myself lunch, and then I sat down and tried to force myself to tackle work. I stared out the window, started thinking, I really should finish staining the deck while it's not raining. The grass looks a little long back there. Maybe the kids should be mowing the lawn. Maybe they should be doing more chores. Maybe I need to make a new chore chart for the summer. And on it went. I answered a couple emails. I taught one of my kids how to mow the lawn finally. I drove a kid to work, went to the bank, planted a bush that had been in the store container for a month. I don't know if you guys are like me. I get really ambitious when I'm at Home Depot and buy these plants, and then they sit in the containers, and I keep watering them, but struggle to get them in the ground. So those were all productive things. Those were all things that were good to do. In a perfect world, they were productive. However, my daily tasks required to maintain my business remained on my to-do list. I was no closer to meeting my goals. That day was designated for work and not random household projects. I was procrastinating and dressing it up as being productive. According to Urban Dictionary, the definition of productive procrastination is doing stuff to keep busy while avoiding what really needs doing. Doing stuff to keep busy while avoiding what really needs doing. And I would add, the things that you're doing to keep busy are actually productive. They're actually things that maybe are on your household list to do, or they're things you've been meaning to do for a long time, but it is not what you are setting out to do and that you need to do to move your business forward. Side note, any of you with tweens or teens, if you are not familiar with Urban Dictionary, it is a great resource, albeit some of the stuff on there is a little nerve-wracking. It is a great source to understand the crazy language that our children speak. Moving back to productive procrastination. Have you guys done this before in the past? What are the kind of things that you find yourself putting off until later and doing something else instead? Maybe financial reports, blog posts. I hear a lot of people say they do this with email and when it's time to email their list. Once you recognize that that's what you're doing, you can make a conscious choice to redirect your activity. I will say some days that is hard. Some days we're just not in it. The other day, I felt like nothing would help me tackle my project. Fortunately, I had some resources to tap into to help me refocus. I have some suggestions for you that I'm going to go through, and also have a free checklist that you can download to help you go through all of these different steps every time that you are feeling like you need to refocus. Something that's really important is to start as you mean to go on. The problem with my day was that I started off on the wrong foot. While the house was quiet and my work brain was most efficient, I was off getting a car fixed. In hindsight, I should have requested an afternoon appointment versus first thing in the morning. Stick with your schedule when you can and guard those work hours and boundaries. The second problem was that my action list that I had already planned out for my goal and for that particular day was not where I chose to sit and work. So, no clear direction, no note in my face telling me what to do. This opens up the overwhelm of what to work on next because there's so many options. And you're not necessarily going to pick the thing you have to work on. You're going to pick the thing that seems the most fun. Keep your action list nearby wherever you choose to work. Don't sit down until you have it or you know exactly which one step you have to work on. And that's the other thing. If you are bringing with you a huge to-do list every day, that's overwhelming. And I would want to procrastinate too if I had 32 things that I needed to try to do that day. Pick one and then put your list away. Just one. When you finish it, you can go check what your next step is. But don't set yourself up for failure by having too many things to work on. I am popping in here today to tell you about our episode highlights, the Impact Membership Circle. This group was built to help you narrow your focus, outline a strategic plan, and get mastermind and accountability from an amazing group of women professionals. It's all online. It's open for new members. Go to womensbusinessworkshop.com/impact. Now let's jump back in. My first step that day was sending a Voxer to a business friend and venting about not wanting to do my project. She was understanding. She gave me a suggestion, and then she reminded me of the importance of what I am setting out to do. Now, she was the right person to call, or Voxer, because she understands the work at home life, but she also didn't just sit and complain with me. She didn't keep me in that avoidance mindset. She gave me the nudge that I needed. So when you do reach out to people for support, and sometimes it is just venting, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that if it's kept in check, but make sure that you are venting to someone who is going to ultimately help you move forward. If it's someone not in your industry or not in business, sometimes they don't really understand. And I know there's certain people in my life that if I complain that I just really didn't feel like working while I was sitting at home in my air-conditioned house with my coffee, being able to set my own schedule, and I just didn't feel like working. I don't know that that would be received very well from some people who are not work-at-home business people. You guys all know it is hard. It is hard to be self-disciplined. It's hard to force yourself to do something when you don't really want to do it. So make sure whoever you are contacting in this scenario is actually going to move you forward. Another thing that I try to do is change the scenery. If the place you chose to work has too many distractions, and you can do the work that you need to do from almost anywhere, find a new spot. Getting out of your usual space can also fuel new creativity or motivation. Have you ever found that when you are in the shower or sitting by the lake, somewhere totally random, you get really great ideas? The creativity flows, your brain seems to be primed. Sometimes we just need to get out of our usual surroundings to spark some of that. I like to set a task goal and then tell myself I won't leave until I've completed that goal. It forces me to really stay focused and complete what I'm setting out to complete. So here's some different options for changing your scenery. You can choose a quiet, different corner of your home or office that you don't normally work in. If you always work in your office and you have a brick and mortar and you have your specific office, go work out in the lobby. Or go find a different space somewhere in the building that you can work. If you work from home, I have heard people working in a closet just to get a different setting and sometimes also to hide from other people in the home, we'll just say. Find a different place to work. If you have the opportunity, leaving the house can be really helpful. Working at a coffee shop, a hotel lobby, a bookstore, the library. I know someone who works at a brewery. That sounds fantastic. Just getting away and working somewhere else for a while where you don't have all the distractions. Another tip, when you are going somewhere else to work, only bring with you what you need for this project. Don't throw that book in your bag just in case. Don't throw other projects in there. Don't throw things in your bag that you don't actually need for this task. It's just bringing the distractions with you. That is not what we want to do. If it is not a time-sensitive task, it's okay to take a break, go for a walk, do something that brings you joy or something that energizes you. Just give yourself a limit and then make sure you get back to work. Okay, another option that you guys can do is a brain dump. I love a good brain dump. A brain dump is when you start free writing and listing anything and everything that comes into your head. It can be related to a certain topic or just any random thoughts. Getting all of this out of your head and onto paper helps clear your mind, but it also gives you the confidence to think of other things because you know those thoughts are now documented. You know, when you have all those ideas in your head and it's like your brain tries to hang on to them for dear life. Well, once you get those documented, whether that's digitally or on paper, you know I love a good notebook and my favorite pens. Once you get it down on paper, your brain can take a break. It's not trying to desperately hold on to and remember all these things because you have them written down. It gives you the freedom to say, okay, I can work on something else. I have those ideas on paper. So there's two different options if you're working on a project and you're stuck and not really wanting to work on it. There's a couple different options. One, you can do a brain dump that's just anything at all. You can get your personal, family, business thoughts all on paper. Anything you're worried about or those things that keep popping back up into your head over and over again and you think, oh, I've got to make that appointment or I've got to take that thing in. Any ideas, to-dos, anything. The other option is to just brain dump everything you can think of in regards to the project you're specifically working on or avoiding, whichever the case may be. Sometimes the task is just too overwhelming, and that's why we can't move forward. If you have not set up action steps yet, that could be what's holding you back. So dump it all out, anything and everything, even if it doesn't seem important, that is about this specific project. Then reorganize the information until you have clear action steps. Those action steps are really going to be the key in helping you move forward. Lastly, I want to challenge you to change your mindset. There may be an underlying reason that you're not able to move forward on this task. We don't like to believe it, and it's way easier to just say, I don't feel like it, or I'm too busy, or the kids are going to interrupt me, or I'm not really sure where I'm going or doing with this thing. It's real easy to use all those excuses, but a lot of times there's something deeper that we're just trying to not acknowledge. So I would ask yourself, why are you putting off this task? List all the surface excuses that come out, and then try to keep thinking. What about this task do you not want to do? There's usually some part of it that is the specific thing you don't want to do. Now, this could be that part of it is out of your strengths. It could be that it's something that you feel that you're not qualified to do or to execute. So figure out, what is it specifically that you don't want to do about this task? Try to narrow down, what is your real roadblock? Is it something with your mindset that you don't think you actually can do it? Or you need more help with a certain part of the task. So instead of asking for support, you just keep putting it off. Also, is there something about the process or outcome that you fear? Sometimes it makes no logical sense, but we fear a big, fantastic outcome because of it's an unknown, or we are afraid that there'll be something that comes along with that outcome that we can't handle or is not good for our family. All of these questions are going to be in the download so that you can go through this checklist and work through each of these questions. So you don't need to write them all down right now, but really try to figure out what is stopping you. And if you figure out that you really just don't want to do it, because honestly, we have those days, just acknowledge that. However, this is where Mrs. Walker, which was me in my former teaching life, combines with Robin the mom. And I will tell you, you can do hard things. What would you tell your child if they said they didn't want to unload the dishwasher? I just don't want to. Fill in the blank right now of what you would tell them. Let me guess. Do it anyway. Sometimes we do things we don't want to do. Suck it up, buttercup. Well, sorry, not sorry, but sometimes in business, we have to pretend that we have a boss that gave us a deadline. We have to have the discipline to do hard and sometimes boring things. Hire it out if you can, but sometimes it comes down to just doing the thing. And guys, you can do the thing. If you need help, get support. Go ask someone for help. Your network is going to want to help you. Ask for help. If not, just go do the thing. Think how happy you will be when it's done. Think how great it will feel to cross it off your list. But don't go on doing other things, pretending like you're still being productive. Productive procrastination can keep us from working towards that big dream. You know that feeling of never really making progress? Wondering why your goal doesn't seem any closer? Well, check out what you're actually spending your time on day to day. Do you end up doing all of the things that you like doing most first? And that's great. And if we can build a business where the majority of the tasks we do are the things we like and we're good at, that is the end goal. That would be fantastic. But in almost every business, we have to do some things we don't really want to do, and that's okay. The goal is to get closer to your big dream. So ask yourself, when you're doing your daily tasks, when you're writing out your list, what is it on your list that day that's going to help you work towards your big dream? So if you find yourself procrastinating, whether it's productively or not, I have a checklist for you that you can download and go through the steps each time. I will include the link to download the Take Action Checklist in the show notes of this episode, but you can also go to womensbusinessworkshop.com/procrastination. Also included with the checklist is a blank action step list. Sometimes when we are overwhelmed, it's because we're putting too many to-dos on our plate. Those of you who work with me and are in the Impact Membership Circle, you know that I'm always saying one thing at a time, one next step. That's all you need. When you finish that one step, you can always add another, but don't overwhelm yourself having all your to-dos in your face all the time. It will only lead to more procrastination. So in the end, guys, I really did get a lot done after I refocused, used some of these strategies to get back on track. I did finish my project. It did overflow into the next day because I had wasted so much time that day. I say wasted because it was a designated work day. Those are all great tasks for me to do on the weekend or when my family's around, but when it's work time, it's go time. I hope this has helped you guys a lot. If there are any comments you have or things that work well for you, please go onto the website or post in our Facebook group, Women's Business Workshop. We would love to get to know you and love to see you in the group. Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.